Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to Radio Works World. This is your host speaking. My name is Agata and I'm a mentor of excellence and identifier of void. And I will be your host today. We are broadcasting live from London and I have a privilege to be interviewing the one and only Catherine Garvey Martin. Welcome, darling.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You've got your cup of tea, water before we start, right?
Everything's ready.
Okay, I've got my drink ready. This is a coconut water, just to let you know.
Cheers.
Now, before we start our heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul conversation, I'd like to point out that these conversations take place every Friday at 10 a.m. UK time. So it's every Friday at 10 a.m. in the morning UK time. And if anyone would like to join me for these conversations, please leave a message below, connect via Facebook, or go on my website, www.agaflow.co.uk. Now, Catherine, for those who do not know you, for those who joined in the United States, New Zealand, Australia, or any corner, or perhaps they are situated in any corner of the world, please tell us, who is Catherine Garvey Martin?
Well, first I'm French. I'm living in UK. I'm an architect. I came to UK 20 years ago. I was working on the international railway stations for the SNCF in France. And it's a bit a thread for the traveling and bridging the culture, you know, and not belonging to one place, but to several places. Because when people ask me now, what am I, where I come from? And I say, well, originally I come from France, but I was born in France, but I have origins like a bit everywhere in the world. And I have family everywhere in the world. So yeah, I'm an architect, and now I'm working in the UK, and I work on residential project for private client, but I also tend to do some humanitarian work. I'm interested of providing happiness through living, because when you understand how people live, how they could live, you can also provide them more happiness, more than what they can hope for, because they always used to live in a way they know, but they don't know what they don't know. So it's just like, as a professional, I also propose different things, understanding of how they could live.
And do you work with other people when you work on these projects, or is it something that you do on your own?
Well, I'm the architect for the project, but I mean, an architect is designing, but the realization of the project is not on my own. I work with a team of the builder. I work with the client too, because it's all about trust between people. So we work together.
That's interesting, because trust also relates to the bridge that you were talking about, that you creating a bridge between people. So somebody from, like yourself, come from the UK, go to India and to work on this project. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you take ideas that may not actually be working in those places where you want to build something new or provide something new. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's just we as being, before human being, we always evolving. So we don't we don't evolve on our own. We evolve with others. And that's what makes things very rich, because we never stay in one place. We always take information, and especially now with all the internet, all the information we access to, we always have new things coming, new technology, but there's also the being, and it's with the being that we do evolve more, because it's from the heart.
Right, right. Whilst you were talking, I had this image of a big, huge building being built, let's say, in a place you went in India. But then what contradicts my image is the fact that that's probably not what that community needs. So how would you know what the community needs before you go and assist?
Well, when I went to India in January and I stayed for 2 weeks there, I didn't know what to expect. I just wanted to work for people and provide the basic needs. But you never provide. You don't come with your knowledge of Western European. You come with who you are, and then you work with the communities there, and you identify what they need. Our role is to find a way to make them resilient.
Wow.
So it's just, I mean, if you're always searching for repairing, or it's just to make their living better with just basic need, and water is one of them. Hygiene is another one of them. Access is one of them. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that we need to put in place, but there's always first the basic things, to live with decency and humanity and dignity, and just to, because they all come to cities to work, and it's just an inclusive way of living. When you have everything you need, the basic things, then you can start to move forward to the next steps.
That's interesting, because when you mentioned that, you know, planning includes taking note or notice of the community's like future plans, what their needs are, current needs are, not just the future plans, but their current needs are, their dignity, their way of living, everything must come together. So based on this, what were you able to create in the place where you went to?
We identified one by one what was the need, and we proposed something, but what we proposed didn't come from us, because we can't come with our ideas. So we did workshop with the people there, we did workshop with the children, and we did workshop with the adult. And all our ideas came from the children, which is brilliant, because they have no filters. You know, we grow up, and as we grow up with a lot of filter, a lot of beliefs, a lot of things that the society, the family, everything give us. You can and you can't. But the reality, the children, they don't have that. They're free. Mm-hmm. So the ideas we had came from them, and it was brilliant. It was a great moment, very rich, very loving moment.
Wow. And were you able to kind of explain or pass the message on from the children, from what the children said, to the adults? Were you able to make that transition of the message?
So to explain to the children, I was working with an Indian architect and another architect from Sweden, and we communicated by drawings. So, for example, we asked them, what is their favorite place in their slum, what was their ideal house, what they want to communicate to us. There's a lot of things coming from there.
That's just absolutely fantastic.
So one of the kids drew a beautiful house with a water tank on top of the house, and he has like a little train with garbage, with recycling, you know, and all those ideas. I mean, we find them in different children, but it just inspired me and the team.
And of course, when you communicated all these to the adults, who probably would have had different ways of expressing themselves, they must have found that the community is so strong, especially when you allow the children to express what they want in the community. So everyone comes together. I think that must have been such a fantastic feeling.
There's always fight because, you know, we are human beings, we all have an ego and things like that. But they have something that we've lost for a long time. It's just we in Western countries, we live as individuals, and the more we go, the more we separate. We live in our little flat with our little car, with our little car park space, and things like that. Well, I'm just it's just a caricature, but it's we just have our own things as they things more as a whole. Because I went to see a show not long ago. It was acrobatic show, and at the end the people said, alone we go far, but together we go stronger and further. And it's true. It's really true. We can't do things on our own. Everyone has a place. There's no better, there's no worse. Everyone has a place.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's exactly how I look at things. There is no such thing as something good, bad, or worse, or better. It's just us who try to define, you know, an idea or something that we are working on. But if you remain neutral, you see the benefit of both, you know, of benefit of perhaps not having enough and benefit of having enough. And I think to live life not in a non-judgmental way, I think that everything is opening up to you in the way that it should be.
Yeah.
And what was that place in India that you visited?
It's Bhubaneswar. It's the northeast coast of India, just below Calcutta. It's a beautiful place.
Wow. And you said there were more architects going with you from Sweden?
Yeah, I went with Architects Sans Frontières Sweden. So Architects Sans Frontières is an NGO, and there's different associations over the world, and this one was organized with Architects Sans Frontières Sweden. I'm a member of the UK one, and they needed people, so I wanted to do something like that.
To contribute to...
Yeah, to be of service. I think you give and you receive, and it's all about that.
Right. And Catherine, what events brought you to this stage of your life where you are today? Just briefly touch upon a few events that you think would other people benefit from.
Event is just an ongoing. I've always been interested with, you know, personal growth, how you can make things better, how you can improve people's life. well, it started with me, of course. It's just, you always have things in your life, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You don't know what's good, you don't know what's bad, you don't know what happens. Some things happen, and when things happen, then you have to move with it and to learn from things. And that's how I came here. That's how I am. Every day I try to, I don't try, I do my best. Not knowing if it's good or bad, because there's no good or bad.
Wow.
I do my best, yeah.
So you move throughout the journey that you have decided to walk on. You move, you flow, and whatever obstacles, some may call obstacles, come your way, you look at them as an opportunity, right?
Yeah, it's an experience. All is an experience. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes you can't see the light, but yeah.
Do you feel that it's important to have people around you or people in your life who are not only supportive, but they are non-judgmental, and they actually believe in your own, I'm going to say dream, whatever we want to call it, it doesn't really matter, but do you believe that it's important to have this small community of people around you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm lucky. I just have, I'm very well surrounded.
And you have your family as well that supports you.
I have my family, and I have my friends, and yes, I have brilliant people around me. So
and what would you say your friends benefit from you? What do you give, or what are you able to bring to any of those close relationships? Because I know they must be supporting you fully, but what can you bring?
is what I said earlier. It's just give and receive. Is receive and give. It's just a constant exchange. It's just someone needs you at one point, and then you're there. It doesn't mean that you will give to that person, but you someone else. You know, there's an exchange. Is not one to one. Is a whole group. Is a whole community or a whole family.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Do you know why? Because somehow I never said it probably before, and I'd like you to tell me if I'm right or not, or whether you identify with this thought, is that if you receive, we feel we have to give back to the same person. But I always somehow felt that if I open myself up to someone else who will benefit from me, then that's a moving, you know, that's energy moving, that's an exchange. Like you say, you get and you you give, you receive, you pass it on. And I never felt that it has to be back to the same person.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Is who needs you? Who do you need? And when you need someone, or you need to say something, or you need to share an experience, you will find the right person to do it.
And that's when oftentimes we feel so disappointed that, wow, I've given all this of my time and effort to this person, and they no longer give it back to me. Well, perhaps the reason for that is that that person is now passing the energy on to someone else, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I know you want to hear something because I mentioned it to you before, but I went to a brilliant lecture this weekend, and it was from a native Indian, and it reminds me of that, because he said, you know, it's all about what you give, and when you give something, you give it with the hand open. You don't share, because sharing is already possessive, because it's I've got something and I'll give you a bit of that. You know, when you giving is just completely, and that's what I found when I went to India. When there's people, the community, they didn't have much, but what they had, they wanted to share, not to share it, to give it. We all often use sharing, but it's giving.
Oh, wow.
And he said he doesn't have share in his language.
Okay, and what else did you take away from this Native American individual?
It just his main conversation was about nature, and everything exists in the nature, and the domination of the human being. We're very clever. We all very clever. We do things. We create computers and technology, and we move very, very, very fast in that. But if you look at it, in the nature, everything exists already. Everything exists. If you look, he didn't talk about that, but he made me think. If you look at the organization of the ants, I mean, it's brilliant.
Mm.
It's an organism in itself that has everything, but it doesn't mean that the queen is better than the other one. It means that everyone has its place. And I mean, no one, people come and go, but the organization is still there, and everything exists. Like we create food, agriculture, but the nature already given us that. And we want to save the earth, but the earth doesn't need to be saved. We need to be saved. Just get rid of our ego and everything.
Wow.
It was really, really powerful.
So what's your legacy, Catherine?
I don't have a legacy as such. I just my legacy is what I mean. Every people I came in contact with, that touch my heart, and I hope I can touch their heart. I can have an impact in a way, or they can have an impact on me.
And how would you recognize if there is an impact? In what shape or form would you recognize when someone has an impact on you? Please share. Give, not share.
How I would recognize that is just someone that will stay, that I will always, it's not that I will always think on, but that will always be part of my life. That's a legacy, no? So I can go and I will still be there. Because that's the definition of the legacy, is what you leave once you left this planet. When you leave the planet.
So it's what you leave behind.
It's what you leave behind. Is that what you mean, the legacy?
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad that you said that, because many people wouldn't really know what would be the impact someone else could have on them. I mean, it's difficult to name anything that you feel, because sometimes we can't find the right word to express how we feel, let alone to name that something that's causing the impact.
Mm-hmm. If you're talking about like physics, and you have two neuron or electron or whatever, two elements, let's say, and then suddenly you have that thread of light or electricity between the two, and once the thread is established, is there, it's just it's there.
Will it not ever be broken?
It depends.
Mm-hmm. Does it depend on how conscious you are, or the person, how conscious the person is?
It can be broken, but if it's broken, it's still there.
Right. I've never heard that before.
Me neither.
Oh, I like that. It's the invisible.
Maybe you inspired me to say that.
Yeah. I like that. So it doesn't have to be there, but it's probably there, but it's invisible. It's up to us to see the spark. It's up to us to see that little something that makes us who we are, or perhaps to respect the other human being for who they are, and just be at that. And that's the divine force that goes through all of us and creates that thread. Would you agree?
Yeah. The Tiosan, the Indian native, he said, is a lot more than connection, is the relativity.
Interesting. So is it how you relate to the other person?
Yeah.
And then I would guess it's to everything else. Would you agree?
If you look at all the words, I mean, because in French, in English, in Spanish, you have a relation, you have you're related to someone, and
yeah.
And in work too, like for example, you say something, you never had that before, where you meet someone, you have a discussion, and then it goes, and then you leave, and then you forget about it. And then one day, someone else says something to you, and you remember that person who said something, and you say, that was so true, he was right, or it was just. It happened to me like that. To suddenly remember what someone said, and then that person was always there, or I don't know, spirit or soul or whatever.
Would you think that these small enlightenments, or when the light bulb goes off, are they small steps towards one's purpose in life? Let's say they don't really know what is their purpose at the moment, but would you say that these small enlightenments are the little pieces that leads to their purpose?
Yes, everything is there. That's why we all one in oneness,
Lovely. And so what's evolving in your life right now? Share with us, or give us a little bit of inkling into what's going on at the moment, what's evolving nicely.
My work, the way I work, the way I think we're all shifting in a certain way, we're changing, and it's difficult to do things the way we used to, because there's a big change coming, and what's evolving is I'm searching to find a way to do more humanitarian work, and to work more with people. I don't know exactly how. I have a few projects in mind, and I don't know. It's brewing. So it's I have intentions.
And do you act upon those intentions every day, or how do you deal with those intentions?
No, because it depends what happened. There's mysteries of life. So sometime you have something coming, and then you just act upon it, and and then you search something else, and then everything takes time. So you have to learn patience.
But basically, you are open to, your heart is open to new possibilities that at the moment may not show up in a way that you would recognize, but if they did, when you're ready, you would see it.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's interesting. And am I correct to say that your husband is also an architect? So you are basically a strong unit, a family unit of architects who are there to make changes.
We don't work the same way. We do talk a lot. I don't pretend to change things. I just want to be able to serve a purpose.
I actually never heard anyone say that two architects don't work the same way. This is the first time I'm hearing. Why would
you have different type of architects? You have commercial architects. It's not because you're an architect that we all the same. Some are more in aesthetic, some are more in commercial, some wants to make money. You know, everyone has an idea. It's like in life with people. Everyone has I want that. I want to. Some architects dream of building a tower. Some other wants to do a master plan or change the city. You know, it's just a different way.
And what type of architect are you then?
I want to create space. Space for living space. For everyone's needs. You know, it depends. If I'm here, it's the same process. You listen to people, and you really need to listen to what they say, and from there understand what's behind too sometimes. Because sometimes you explain something, and for example, if I said, well, I want a round table, it has nothing to do, well, it's not architecture, it's not building, but I want a round table. Okay, a round table, you have different way of doing a round table. So why do you want a round table? Just because you want to sit in circle around it, or just because your space will accommodate a round table? You know, you need to know why. And then from the why, you go back and you understand, you ask more questions to understand exactly what's the need.
When you said that you need to listen, so you must be a great listener. Am I correct?
I do my best.
And the reason why I had to mention that, because earlier you said that you create happiness through architecture. So the only way you are able to create happiness, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if you listen properly. If you listen to what actually the individuals or your clients are saying, only that way you are able to create the happiness that they are dreaming about.
Mm-hmm. I intend to. It's not always easy because you work with people, and you know the home is something really sacred, because that's where they're living. So if I work for a developer, it's different. They want to make money out of it. But if you work for someone's home, they have different intention. They can want to live there for a few years and then move on. They can want to spend the rest of their life in their home. So you don't propose the same way. If they want to sell the house, you need to tell them that if they do that, the property will lose value. If they want to spend the rest of their life in their home, you really need to understand how they're going to live and how they can evolve in their home. So there's different things. So yeah, I try to do my best.
And I can see that you incorporate in the holistic side of the human being when you are designing something for them.
Yeah.
That's very rare. Am I allowed to say that? That that's very rare in an architect, no?
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of architects have ethos like that. You need to have ethos.
Wow. So if anyone wanted to get in touch with you and call you or write to you, where should they be going? Where will they find you?
They can, well, I'm changing my website at the moment, but they can still look at it on www.garbimacham.com.
Mm-hmm.
And they can contact me, C Garbi, Garbi, at garbimacham.com.
Is there a dot in between C and Garbi?
No.
No. So it's C Garbi. Please repeat it if you don't mind.
C Garbi at garbimacham.com.
Okay, good. There might be people who are listening and they may wonder, who is this lady with so much thought, with so much, intention that you use into your work? Then at least, people will know who to or where to find you. And that's something that we can't miss out on, because it seems that you're the first architect that I met who puts so much effort into designing and designing a home where people actually can live, not just exist.
No, I think there's some architects. There's different people. It's just sometimes you meet a client and you don't fit with. And the same way is you have to choose your client, and your client needs to choose you, because that's very important. It's like when you meet people in life, it's the same thing.
Yeah, you need to choose who you want to be surrounded by. I see what you mean. Interesting. Well, in closing, I'd like to say a very big thank you, Catherine, that you took out time and energy. Obviously, you must be very busy, and you have sacrificed, your time to come to this.
It was a pleasure.
To my show, and I am really privileged to be able to speak to someone as whole of an architect as you are. I mean, I must admit, this is the first time I met someone who includes holistic view, and other things in designing something for a person or community, and that is very valuable. So I'm glad that you came on the show, so people can hear that you do exist and you do great work around the world. And I'd like to say a very big thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me a voice.
Absolutely pleasure. And I hope to speak to you soon.
Yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you, you too.
Or morning, afternoon. Okay then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.